No, not even upward spiral. You need to be able to radiate the joy, radiate the fun. Okay. And from whichever space you are in, you can start from now. And did you see the energy that guy had? Ben Sir, Ben Zander, how he brought out the best. He said, I'm not going to tell the people how to play their instruments. I'm going to just tell them how to be happy, how to, be in the present, how to um take it further. And so, therefore, my job as a trainer of personality development and soft skills for you all this year is not to tell you how to lead your life, is not to give you any advice and to tell you do this, do that, only then you'll be successful. You find out what works for you and you do it the way you want to do it. And yet you synchronize with the others. Yesterday, we also spoke about teamwork. So, teamwork is about building relationship. It is then getting down to work in synchronicity. Okay? And finally, it is about integrating yourself with other teams. And leadership is about bringing out the best based on the situation. So, situational leadership theory is something that SLT we didn't do, but it's going to be taught in your OB. And if it is not, you can always come back to it. Okay? And it's very simple. I'll probably make a video of it and put it online. And for some reason, Suresh sir had not done it. So I'll do it and I'll put it online. You all can go through it. Okay. And tomorrow is the last day. So tomorrow I'm going to be, after tomorrow, I'm going to start missing you guys. But then tomorrow I'll also discuss about your exam. And if it is not possible, I'll keep a day. Okay. A good, and I'll put it in both the groups. Let all the members come in together and I'm going to discuss about how the exam is going to be conducted, what is going to be the type of questions, etc., etc. Okay, clear? And what other assignment you can do to compensate for more marks and how you can go about go about the whole thing with your, you know, as your choice. How's that? Okay, great. Thank you. So let's begin today's day. And there was so much more. This movie, when I saw it the first time, Suresh sir first saw it on his own, and then he called me. He said, "You'll really love it." And the moment it started, there was so much of that energy. I said, "This guy is bursting out of energy." He's saying, "Yo, he's your elder brother. That's what you also do. You're constantly bursting out of energy." And I was like, "Oh my god, okay." And initially, it seemed a bit too much, but then when you get so into his energy, you get so into his enthusiasm. And as a person who's listening to these classes, the most important thing you must do is first put on a student cap. Okay, a willingness to learn, and then you should have a lot of enthusiasm. Yeah, I am there to learn, and that is the reason why every morning I ask you, so are you ready for something new? And your answer is yes. So I want quite a few yeses, and then let's thank you. Thank you, Isha. Thank you so much. And let's take it forward. Hmm. So today we're going to be talking about the cross-cultural diversity. This is really going to add knowing how people behave in different countries also gives you an idea as to what you are. Okay. So it's not just about how other people and how others are, but also you will start identifying what kind of a working culture are you into, what kind of a personality do you have, what kind of an attitude do you have towards time, towards space, towards um, you know savings, towards indulgence, towards extroversion, introversion, in terms of, you do you think more we or you think more I, and the whole works. So this is a very beautiful set of slides that Suresh sir had developed, and it had so many of them, more than 300 slides. I have really cut them down, and yet I just could not cut more. So I really hope that I am able to finish the entire thing by the end of today, and I will really hurry up. Okay, so you keep being with me, give me participation, and there are some very cute films to support it. There are actually so many. On every topic, there is a film by some expert, and yet I'll be just showing you a few. Okay, and I'm going to be talking about the whole thing. So this is, kind of developing global cross cultural awareness for business effectiveness. Because at the end of the day, all of you are doing your BBA, okay, and you want to go out there and run some business or work for some business enterprise initially, so that you can gain the experience and then take it forward to your own business, or maybe you want to join your parents business. Okay, now, according to Divyansh also, who yesterday, who came as a speaker, he said that probably you all are not even aware, as to what you want to do. That's why BBA kar lo. It's the easiest to do. So, well, have fun. So, what is the introduction? In today's world, where international boundaries are just mere geographical, Suresh sir used to just talk from the heart, but then I'm reading it out. Okay. Okay. Now let me also talk the way he used to do. So basically, with globalization, where the boundaries are really not there, where there is so much of work happening all over the world, and now to start a new work in a new country, especially the first world and the second world countries, and India being the third world country, still we are in the top 6 now. Indians are in the top 6. And how is it possible? Just because the gates were opened to the international companies, and that happened after a lot of, the Swaraj thing. That is, we are first independent. Swaraj means we got independence many years ago. For many years, we first, through all the other countries outside, made ourselves strong, learned from them, continued to work in that culture, and eventually we felt that we just, we are very good. So let us, open the gates and expand more, and we do not feel threatened anymore. So the Indian cold drinks, like Thumbs Up and like some of the regular ones, the local ones, they just were picked up. The Fruity, the Mangola, all these were just picked up by these global countries, and they were branded as if they were from there, but we know that they were Indian. Okay. Similarly, we continued with certain methods and ways like herbal toothpaste and all that, which all these other countries like Colgate and all that, Colgate Palmolive and Unilever, they have come up with their own herbal toothpaste also. And yet, when Patanjali came just a few years ago, they overtook Unilever. Their products and their supply chain management and their entire marketing network was way bigger than Unilever. Okay, so we are not just a national country, like we are international. Every one of us, especially living in Pune is one of the second, best place to live in India. Imagine, okay? We've got so many international companies, so many global companies, right from Koreans to Japanese to Americans to definitely for sure French, German. I have personally worked in all these the companies that I'm talking about. Okay, even companies from Vietnam, companies from Malaysia. I have had personal Malaysian clients. Okay, they came to our office. They learned about this thing about competency mapping. And just the other day, one of them again called up and said, "Ma'am, what about sales training?" I said, "I wish." The gentleman was here, and I wish you could have taken it when you came here. Stayed for a couple of days longer, and you would have taken sales training also. And they were like, "Oh, we should have done it." So anyway, the bottom line is that it is very important for you to understand how those people work in their country, and when they come to India, they take training. And a lot of people have done research as to how Indians work so that they don't get into what is called a state of cultural shock, which we will see that happens. Okay. Because of globalization, because of this open communication, right now, at the spot of a second, I can talk to my relatives who are there in any part of the world, including Dubai, who has tried to stop WhatsApp and other ways of communication. And I don't know why they're doing that. They're such a global city themselves. Everyone is over there. The way Dubai has developed is just amazing. So today is going to be a day when we learn to accept what they are, we learn to respect what they are, and we understand about their personal values, belief systems, and we understand how we are to them and how they view us. Sometimes we feel that we are perfect, but when we go out there, we realize that OMG, if we are having difficulty in adjusting to their ways, you can imagine what they are going through with us. Okay. So we understand how the whole thing works. So, right from awareness, we will learn to have an open mind to take in this and to understand the various dimensions of the classification of culture and how we can communicate across cultures in a way to be able to function more effectively. And we will learn to recognize, respect, reconcile, realize, and root. And this is according to Dr. Fons Trompenas. So now keep enjoying these pictures in between. Huh? Sir has done this a lot. So, and he's made this. So, this happens only in America. And what about this? Where do you think this is? Come on, tell me. Unless you don't respond, there won't be any fun. India, it could be, yes. And look at the faces and look at the culture over there. It could also be in Bangladesh. Okay. It could also be in Pakistan. Okay. Considering the desert look and all that. So it could be anywhere. Where. And what about this? Germany. Meanwhile, in Germany, look at the way people are. Even while they're traveling, they are basically doing their work also, having conferences, having meetings. Can you see this? Amazing, isn't it? And look at this. Oh my god, so cute. Dear guests, if you're caught pressing all the buttons in the elevator, you will be forced to do 20 push-ups. And I've missed that word. I've actually hidden that word in front of the reception desk. Thank you for your cooperation. So these are the funny things that happens. And I'll also show you certain other films, very cute films on how a couple of women have got together and signs from all over the world during the break time. So enjoy it. Okay. Only in China. And where do you think this is? And I've had to hide this. Only in France. Okay. Look at the way the women cop are dressed. Okay. Absolutely in a way as if they are out there to do a lot of mischief in ways that we sometimes cannot even comprehend, being Indian. But then I've also seen our Indian police women also in their khakis, their uniforms are actually quite well shaped. Huh? And I really admire their figures and they look very cute. And I've even complimented some of them. Yeah, you see them on the street and you see them in when you go for your passport verification or what have you. And where do you think this is? Check out this sign. It looks like India, but it is not. Okay. Check out this sign. Somebody, yeah, this is also in France. Okay. Where it's saying take a right turn and then saying no, there's no right turn. And then there's a sign which says stop. There's another sign which says stop. And God knows what's happening there. Okay. So confusion. Now, where do you think this is? This is very clear. Come on, guys. Who will do this? Mhm. Not China, not China at all. No, 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 no. This is the first time you guys have got it wrong. Who are these freaky? Yes, Anshu, give yourself a big hand. It's the Japanese. They're the one who are yes, Safa. It's Japan. See, these Japanese are the crazy people who will not want to have round. They've got all the time in the world to do research. They're extremely intelligent people. I mean, like they're crazily intelligent, and they'll come up with such inventions, and then they have it in them. They've got enough in the economy to actually take it globally. Okay, it's only that sometimes this is so crazy. But then imagine the convenience of cutting a watermelon, which is a square, and this is a true picture. Huh? This is not just like that only. And look at this: in Berlin, a town in southwest Germany has only accusations of sexism after designating two particularly tricky parking spaces men only. Okay, the mayor of the Black Forest town of Tribeck says women would find it difficult to park there because drivers need to back in diagonally without hitting a pillar and or a wall. So you see that even after being such, what can I say, in technologically wise and in every possible way, Germany is the richest country in the whole world. Okay, they pay people to use electricity. In our country, we have to pay to use electricity everywhere, and there are just very few places where electricity is given for free, but or it's subsidized in their own way, like the villages, etc. But in Germany, they actually pay people to use electricity. They've got excessive of power, and I just love this country, and my son also loves this country. And see, this is only in Thailand, where a kid is playing with a python. Okay, and this can happen only there. And look at this, only in Texas, where a car wash is being used to wash this bull or a cow, whatever it is, with horns. And how cute it is. Okay. And where could this be? Quickly tell me. Yes, Asha, Safa, tell me. Where is this? Hmm. Could be Maldives, could be Hawaii. Okay. So could be Bahamas also. I am really not sure. With the way people are sitting over here, it could be just anywhere. Okay. One of these three countries. And where could this be? This is quite obvious, but tell me. Not really Dubai. I don't think Dubai would allow it, but yes, one of the Middle East countries. Okay, exactly where, no clue, and I cannot identify from these. Not Bangkok, baby. A camel will never be in Bangkok, Anshu. Okay, never, not in Bangkok. I've been to Bangkok, but I've not been to Middle East. Saudi, yeah, any of these Middle East countries, maybe Saudi itself. Okay, so let's now look at the phases of cultural shock. Okay, so there are plenty of them. Okay, the first thing, when you come to know that you have got a job, say in the US, so, or in Germany or in France, so you are very excited, you are like exhilarated, and you are like, oh, I'm going abroad, I'm going to become a foreigner. When I come, I'll be an NRI, I'm a non-resident Indian, and the whole work. So you're very, very happy. And then when you go there, when you don't understand the language, especially in France, or when you realize that, oh God, where am I stuck? Even in the US, there are many, many cities which are completely Spanish based, and you just don't know what to do, especially Russia or Japan. You don't know the language, you can't even read the signs, there's nothing in English, and obviously you don't see any Hindi around, so there's frustration, there's anger, and you're like, where am I stuck? And I know of some people who are just, oh my God, it's so clean out here. I'm so used to the junk and the dunk in India. But then nowadays I can see that Swachh Bharat India is actually picking up, and there are many, many cities that have become very, very clean. And just being in Allahabad, which about in 2010 was so dirty, it was unbearable. In 2016, it seemed a little better, a lot better, but this time in 2021, it was very, very clean. So then after some time, what happens is you start getting acclimatized, okay? And you start recovering from your frustration, your anger, your shock. And then you start adjusting and, tweaking yourself and gradually appreciating till you get absolutely acculturated over there, or should I say acculturation takes place. And then the same happens when you come back to your own country, where you are very happy to come back, but then you get frustrated and angry with the way things are. You recover from it, you adjust and appreciate, and you reacculturation happens. So this is shown in the same graph, that initially when you hear that you're going out, you're very, very happy, you're exhilarated, okay? The first few days are a honeymoon period where you explore the city as a guest, as a visitor, but then you start working there and your happiness index just goes down, your satisfaction goes down, and you go through a cultural shock. You start getting frustrated, you start getting angry, you start blaming the other person, and then you start getting adjusted, okay? And finally, you do as when in Rome, you do as the Romans do, and you kind of adapt to their culture. And when you come back, you bring their clothes, and then you're not interested in the salwar suits, and the salwar suits, lehenga and sari is just one or two in your cupboard for Indian functions only. Okay. So this is what happens. And let's look at the stages of the cultural sensitivity. The first is denial. Okay. First you say, no, no, I'm very well adjusted, I'm fine. So the first ego defense mechanism is complete denial, which takes you to a other defense, that I am, I'm okay, but they're not okay. Okay. You take a light position of I'm okay, but they're not okay. Okay. And you say, you defend your country, and you say that my culture is very old, the Indian culture does like this, we are like that, we are like that. And then finally you start getting into minimization, where you let go of your own thoughts and you accept what is happening around you. You start adapting, and finally you get into the whole concept of integration, where you start enmeshing yourself with them and you work across. Okay. So today we are going to be talking about how the cultural and the communication barriers do affect business. There are times when certain countries have and certain companies have come to India, and they have adjusted, they have done everything, and they've found that they cannot work with these Indians. They've just wound up all the processes, given them the termination, and just quietly, like rats, left the country and gone away. Okay, so you can give me those ha ha hoo hoo, and yet the others have completely come here and adjusted. And same thing, Indians, Malayalis, that is all kinds of people. I mean, most of my relatives are either abroad or they are in Bombay and Pune. Okay, there's just one set in one fellow only left actually in Delhi, and the ones in Calcutta have also shifted to Hyderabad now. And there is one girl, one of the daughters, whose parents and everyone, they're all in Jakarta. She is married in Chennai, and one of my cousins is also married in Chennai. My sister is in Visakhapatnam, and I'm also obviously now in Pune. We were in Allahabad. Okay, so we were the only country bumpkins. We were considered to be the one from Gaon. When we used to come to uh, this Bombay and the other places, people used to talk to us in Hindi, try to talk to us in Hindi, our relatives, and treat us as if we were really, people who were wearing turbans and were wearing saris and, like dhotis and all that nonsense. So they used to be very surprised when we wore jeans and t-shirt as kids. So this is how it was. And eventually we realized that they were so dumb and we were so intelligent. And now everyone respects us like anything. Us meaning my sister and I. Okay. And my other cousins who then joined us over there. Oh wait, my Masi is still in Allahabad. I forgot. Okay, how can I forget? I just went and came back from there. So basically, we have to understand, recognize first what the differences are, and then make our interpretations and react in the manner which is a win-win situation for everyone. And first, we have to adjust to the guest, Atiti Devo Bhava, and look at incidences and situations and make sure that we do not indulge in any misunderstanding of any sort due to cultural differences. So, diversity at work happens, it works. So, here we are today to equip you as learners to understand what is appropriate and what is not. Okay, and then develop a competence. That is the final stage where you develop a competence where you are so good at it that the locals will say that you know us better than we know ourselves. Okay, and this is what Suresh says to at this state say that when I started not only talking like them, walking like them, my house is full of African, stuff around even now, and I'm not letting them go. Shall I show you one thing which is like really beautiful? And I put it in the corner, but just as a kind of, an expression here. Whew, this is so much, so heavy. Sorry. Ah, look at this. Ah, all of you, look at this. So beautiful, huh? And so expensive I can't even hold it. It's like really huge. Give some appreciation so that I can put it back. Okay. So this is this African lady. She's in made in jade. Can you see? And this is so heavy I can't. Ugh. Okay. Very beautiful, na? Very aesthetic. And I've kept her. And I always tell him, I said, is this one of your girlfriends who was there? And he said, no, I had met prettier once, but she was the most beautiful, and look at how heavy she is, yeah? And how much he must have paid extra to get her. Really, she's very heavy. Now give me a few seconds or minutes to put her. I just put her here only so that oh God, I won't be able to put it on my table because the table has a glass top. So, anyway, Suresh sir had traveled all over the world, but he was totally, adjusted to the African ways of life. And Africa was one place he really loved. He loved these, blacks. And I mean, he just every time. I mean, Denzel Washington would come on the thing, or any of these. When Obama became the president, you can't even imagine the celebration that happened in my house. Oh my God, this guy was all over, and he was so thrilled. And he even made comments, that the Americans would rather have a black president than have a woman. So you can clearly see till now Hillary doesn't stand a chance. Okay, and just because of the fact that you may feel that in women are not respected in our country, and there's a lot of gender discrimination. But I'm not going to be talking today, about gender discrimination. That is another gender diversity and all that is something really different. I'll just speak about it in a generic way where you'll realize that Thailand is one of the countries, and so is the other, Far Eastern countries who respect Indians, like women, a lot. And then in our own country, Meghalaya is completely a matriarchal society where women receive dowry from the men, where the men have to leave their house and come and stay with their in-laws. Okay, and the men have to change their names and adopt the names of the woman's family. The woman is the head of the family. Okay, this is happening in India also, in Meghalaya, and in Kerala also. It's a very women dominated state. It's a very matriarchal society, and that is the reason why my mother-in-law, being from Kerala border, she thinks that she's the cat's whiskers, and she's the big boss. My father-in-law was another story. He was the only one who could handle her. And what can I do right now? Both the men in her life, she's just ticked them off and told them, get out of this world. So this is how it is. We're going to be talking about it, and let me kind of rush through it a little more. Okay, so basically, to create the synergy, so those with a proper global mindset are those who understand the diversity across cultures and market, those who have the knowledge about diversity, and those who are able to integrate the cultures, the markets across the world. These are the ones with global mindset. Those who don't have it, they lack global mindset. Okay, so basically it's all about morals, customs, beliefs, capabilities, habits, the way you deal with time, the way you take it further. So this is a cultural iceberg. You'll keep seeing this picture in conflict, in subconscious consciousness, and now in culture also. I love this picture. The way people dress, the way people walk, the way people talk, the way that people relate to each other and behave in public is what we see on the surface. But the way people think, they understand, they believe, and they feel about justice, they teach their children, they relate to power, their values, their ethics, and how they relate to time, and how they talk to each other in groups, and they express themselves in with arts, and with the way they deal with science also. That is something that is hidden, and that is what we need to understand. So quickly, I'm going to show you a film by Dr. Fons Trompenos. It's slightly boring, but hear him through, understand his accent. There are no so
I would like to introduce you in this wonderful world of multicultural management. And perhaps it's important, first of all, to understand what is culture. Culture has many layers. It's like an onion. On the outside, we find the expressions, the products of culture. Things like the architecture we build, the food we eat, the language we speak, and the way we behave. But be careful, because these outside expressions can have different interpretations. People might buy sushis and hamburgers for different reasons. So we go to the second layer of the onion called culture. And that is the layer of norms and values. Norms are shared orientations of what we define as what we should do, and values or what we like to do. When something works, like breathing, the value of oxygen has become a norm through breathing, it slips out of consciousness and becomes a basic assumption. In other words, basic assumptions are values that have become norms. We try to structure basic assumptions in three main areas. The way we relate with human beings, we call them human relationships, and we distinguish 5 aspects: time and nature, which adds up to this so-called 7-dimensional model. Let me give you an overview of the 7 dimensions. On the one hand, we have universalist.
We will talk about the 7 dimensions a little later. Okay, so have you understood that outside is the physical contact, the language, the food, the meeting style, the architecture, the dress, the literature, the rhythm, and the pace. But once you go inside, that's outside is the explicit culture, but inside is the norms, the values that he just spoke about, and deep down is the implicit culture, which is the basic assumptions that we take for granted. And when you go in Rome, you do as the Romans do, only if you understand what the Romans do. If you do not know what the Romans do, you cannot, you will be just roaming around there and getting lost in their cities. And especially if you go to Venice, then you won't even know because you'll be encountering too much of water, and you will actually be stuck, because then you won't even know how to swim. So, and that water can be pretty dirty. And now I know that nowadays things have really changed. So culture is basically about human relationship, about time, and about nature. So now quickly, all that we are talking about, we are not getting into stereotypes or generalizations. So this is kind of a disclaimer. So please forgive me if you feel that there is any fun of any culture being made. It is not intended. It is just, please accept what is happening and understand how it is. Okay. So stereotypes are fixed and oversimplified opinions and of images or judgments, but generalizations are in a general statement. So we are going to be indulging in both these. Okay. So Edward T. Hall's classification is something which was the first one which started, and he was the one who said that there are two types of people in terms of time factor. Okay. There are the monochronic action people. That means they do one thing at a time, they concentrate on the one job at one time. Okay, they put their job first and they put the relationship second. They emphasize on being on time, they seldom borrow and lend things, and they think about when things must be achieved. That means they are very, very clear about their timelines. Whereas the polychronic action country examples which are here, that is Brazil, India, Mexico, and those of monochronic action country examples are USA, UK, Germany, and Switzerland. So these are the people, the Indians, like, they do too many at advanced time. They're easily distracted. They put relationships first. If there's a marriage, they will just close down their shop and go. They will not be bothered about what will happen to the milk and to the essential items that their customers need on a daily basis. Just for 6 days, Ramesh Bhai just closes the Mukesh shop and goes away. Okay. And you go there and you're desperate and you've not even taken your car keys or your scooter keys. So you will have to walk all the way to Mamta store or to, and which is like a little further down. And it causes so much inconvenience, but they don't care. Okay. They, and they don't really kind of, matter. These things don't matter. And then there is the low context culture and the high context culture. Okay. So low context culture are people who are like, again, USA, Germany, and Switzerland, where they are not so bothered about the environment. Okay. They're not bothered about the frame of reference. They are very focused about and committed about certain things, and they go about it. Okay. Whereas the high context countries are like China, India, Japan. These, again, the Asians and this part of the world, they generally have this whole thing where you know there's a lot of pakad, lot of talking, lot of lack of focus. Okay. They may seem very reserved and very quiet, like the Japanese and the Chinese are very, Indians are like, gregarious. Again, in India, you go, there's so much of cultural difference between the north and the south. Okay. So many people must be doing some research on it. But let me just, kind of give you this thing about that higher context people are the Asian countries, the Arabians, the South European, the African. So can you just see that the way the longitudinal thing is working, that's how your this guy Edward T. Hall's whole theory is based on that. Okay. Okay. Now let's look at this guy's model. He's called Hurt Hofstede, not Geert Hofstede or Hofstede. So he's Hurt Hofstede. He's very old now. He must be in his mid 90s. And yes, he's still alive. And his son, Jan Hofstede, is the one who's taken it over and taken this research further. But his whole research was done in IBM, where they covered people, students from 23 country elites from 19 countries, commercial airline pilots from 23 countries again, upmarket consumers from 15 countries, civil services managers from 14 countries, and they came across first five, aspects. Okay. Then in the end, Jan Hofstede also added the last, that is the sixth aspect. So this has been made according to the 5-1, this particular thing, and we were going to look at it one at a time. So let's look at first the power distance. The power distance index in certain countries is very high, and certain countries it's very low. In our country, it's very high. where you all will never call me by my name, whatever happens. Yesterday in the evening session, when I introduced Divyansh, and I did say, even with you all, I said, Mr. Divyansh, you will be surprised that many people start calling him sir. And the difference in age is barely a few years. And maybe some of you are even age wise older to him because you have, kind of skipped a year or two for your preparation for medical or for engineering or something like that. And so that is the power distance index, where we don't address our parents by their name, we don't address them by their surname, we address them by. And some of the families where elders, like their parents, like they're born a little late or something like that, so already grandchildren have been born, so even the children will start calling their parents by dada and amma. That's what happened in our family. And there's a lot of respect given. Even if someone is 2 months older than you, your sibling, you call them didi or bhaiya. Okay, so that is ingrained in us. Like Suresh used to give the example that when he was abroad and he finished, the driver who would drive him around, that guy named James, James would take him around the whole day. And in the evening, he would come and sit next to Peter Dilbert and Suresh sir. And he would just come and say, Bosch, can I, and he used to say that, Bosch, can I get you a drink? And Bosch will say, okay, fine. And the guy would say, put the tab on me. And could you even imagine this happening here? No way. Even if we went to a restaurant and dropped somewhere in between and we told him, Mahesh, please come in and join and have food, he would sit in the corner, far away from us. He would never ever sit on the same table with us. And he would just call us sir and ma'am and would never even attempt. You would always look down. So this power distance is something that happens in cultures in India now, and in Pune. You'll find that very senior people, they just don't like being called by any title. They say, call us by our first name. Okay. And here, as I told you a few days ago, that where uncle was also concerned, I didn't even know his first name. Okay. Yet there was one uncle who was Suresh uncle. I only knew him. Of course, I knew his surname also, Grover. But I guess uh, and even with Suresh sir, do you notice even now he's my husband, but I just cannot call him, by his. Uh, if I would call him by his name, he would like wonder what's happening. What's wrong? What did I do wrong? And then I would, treat him with that disrespect or something. And that's what it is. Years later, even if you, the power distance index is such, okay. And then the second aspect is individualism versus collectivism. Okay, certain countries are very individualistic. What's it in for me? What will I get? What will my company get? What will, they're not even bothered about what their family will get. If they are able to sell a house and make sure that their family is on the street, and they will just do it. Whereas we don't think like that. We think in the we, I versus we. So let's look at how it happens. There are certain cultures like China, like Japan, like Thailand, like Vietnam, like Myanmar, Bhutan. These people, Bhutan has got the highest happiness index in the world. How is that possible? Because they have this collectivism kind of a culture where they're not so bothered about, they're not, they will, there is no way that you can, they'll, you can leave anything anywhere and it'll come back to you. There's safety, there is trust, there's faith. And that is why the happiness index is very high, because there's collectivism. It's like, there's teamwork, there is cohesiveness, there is extended families. Like in our society itself, on the second floor in the same building, C building where I am, there's this Agarwal family. And because of certain reasons, we have got 4 flats on one floor. So they got 3 flats. The fourth one they could not buy because somebody had already bought it. They had all the money possible, and then they're really butting that fourth person, can you please go to any other floor? And that guy is like, I love it being with you all. And that entire family has also become part of them, and all the four doors are open. If at all, they cannot lock the lift. Otherwise, they don't need to lock their doors, they don't need to close their doors. The doors are perpetually open. And the kids, and when they have to close it, it's really tough for the kids to move in and move out of their house. And one of the fellows who comes here and plays cards, he's always like, let me go early, because otherwise, my door will be closed and I won't have the keys. I said, why? Because if you know you're gonna be, this is your room. He's saying no. Then one day he just comes celebration. Go, why? I have my own room. And the other kids are like, what's the big deal? It's a big deal for me. I'm in a joint family. Even for pujas and for everything, there are 100 people. Okay, they've got so many extra parkings, and just because of the number of people, they've got a line of more than 12 scooters. Okay, so this is what it is about individualism and collectivism. Now let's come to the masculine versus femininity. Now here we are not talking about gender. Here we are talking about, people who are achievement oriented and relationship oriented. The women are more relationship homebound, okay, less assertive is what the norm of the world is. So left brain people are also kind of more logical and more achievement, more driven, more power hungry. Okay, now that is different from this power index. Okay, that is about the status, about the way you treat the relationship. Here it is this, power hungry, the need for achievement, the need for power. Remember that theory in motivation? So these people are very, the masculine societies are very achievement oriented, whereas the feminine societies, the feminine countries are very relationship driven. Okay. So Nala Supara in Bombay is very relationship driven. Kala Ghoda is very relationship driven. Whereas South Bombay, Bandra, and Andheri nowadays, Andheri East is very masculine. So even within a city, can you see, and within societies itself, and within families, you will find, and within individuals in the nuclear family also could be masculine, could be feminine. You could also say the masculine people are very yang people. Okay, and these societies and these countries are like that. Okay, and I was accusing my husband for not showing this slide, and I'm not showing it myself. So these assertive pole has been called masculine, and the modest and caring feminine pole is it. And look at the pictures, here there's a woman who is being assertive, and here there's a man who's being caring. So it really doesn't matter whether you are a pink or you are a blue. The masculine versus femininity is more achievement and more caring and modest. Okay, that is what it is. And there are differences, and I'm going to be coming to that. Then there are countries where they cannot bear uncertainty. How do you think we rank? Okay, obviously we are very high, I mean very low on, I mean our tolerance for uncertainty is very high. We can put up with so much nonsense. We don't care about organizations. It's only now that there's this thing called, people who take care of event managers and marriage, people who conduct marriages and all that. Otherwise everything used to be done on our own. And अरे फूल कौन लेने जा रहा है, अरे खानसामा अभी तक आया नहीं है, अरे वो पी के पड़ा हुआ है वहां पे, अरे कौन पी के पड़ा हुआ है, अरे वही जो पी के है, वो अरे क्या नाम है उसका, प्रदीप कुमार, वो पी के जो है ना वो पी के पड़ा हुआ है, क्या करूं उसका. Like that there is confusion, and yet at the end of it everyone knows what is happening, and everyone is fine with it, as long as sub Mia Bisbi Razi to kya karega kazi, and everything is, all happening. Our country is so much into jugaad, and we can take care of everything. Okay, so this is, uncertainty avoidance is like, it's some novel thing. Some don't, please do not surprise the Germans. Please do not throw surprises at the, the Swedish, the Finnish people. They don't like it. Okay. They want everything organized. You've got to tell them 1 year in advance what's going to happen. Okay. And I'll give you another example with Sir gave, that here it is a person from Germany who sent you a mail to Mr. Patel in India. So, with due respect to the Gujus, I really love them. And my husband was with a Guju company with the Trivedis. So, I'll just give you one example which actually happened with Sir, that they got an email long time ago. So let me just change this and put, he's distracting, this Mickey Mouse is distracting me also. So there was this mail that was sent a month ago, and with full agenda, everything. And yet when Mr. John comes over here and to India, he is 15 minutes before time. When he reaches the office, he finds that even the receptionist is not there. And then there is this Sachin, who is just scratching his hair and digging his nose and basically, chatting on his Dabba mobile. And he's like, "Where's your boss? Where are the people? It's up, aa jayenge. Sir, please sit, sir, sit. Can I get you a cup of tea?" And this guy is just looking at he's not interested. He's already had his breakfast. He's already had his beverages. He's not even interested in water because he's carrying his own water. He's got his own Avian. He's not even interested in your Bisleri or your Kingsley or Aquafina or whatever water that you want to give him, local water. Okay. So he just sits, and after about 20 minutes, this guy comes scruffled, okay, and blames the traffic, you know, and then he sits, and then he gets a call from his wife. अरे भाई वापस आते हुए 1 किलो आलू जरूर लेके आना. हाँ हाँ. अरे जाओ ना यहाँ से, अभी अभी फोन रखो ना. मेरे सामने एक अंग्रेज बैठा हुआ है, और विदेशी बैठा हुआ है, एक चिट्टा बैठा हुआ है. That kind of language is being used in Hindi. And then this guy is like, do you realize, Mr. Patel, that I understand this much of Hindi? And he says, can we please start? And this guy is like scruffling through the papers looking for the agenda. Now this German knows that this is what the Indian is. So he brings his own printed agenda and he just places it in front of him. And straightforward, Patel, first asks John that, how's your family? John says, please don't bother. Can we get to our work? And, thinks to himself, he didn't even ask me about my mother, you know, and he didn't even, I told him last time in the mail that my mother is not well. And he's not even bothered to ask me about my mother. I mean, this guy doesn't even know whether you even have a mother. You may have been born out of the test tube, and you may have been born in an incubator. Who knows? So this is how it is. And then it doesn't work out at all. And then this German gets damn frustrated, and he thinks at least, and he says that, look, I've got a flight after 2 hours. I've got to be at the airport. He says, nahi, 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 nahi. Aisa nahi hai. You come on my terms, okay? Sorry, you come on your terms, but you go on our terms. So, aaj to ghar to aana hi hai. You have to have the, curry and the dal made by my mother, okay, and by my wife. You must have that chitti lokha, or that gatia sabzi and all that. And this guy is like, no, this is all made from gram flour, which is besan, and it gives me gas. I'm allergic to peanuts. Please don't do that. And I'm allergic to anything that is called chana dal, or what you call as, like what we call as gram flour, okay, or the grams, okay, those pulses. So this is what happens, and this guy is so frustrated. He just wonders what he's, in for. Then there is this whole concept of long term and short term orientation. Okay, so some cultures, they save for their great grandchildren also. They save for their सात जन्म का पुश्ते बैठ के खा सकती हैं types. And yet there are certain cultures, the moment they get some money, they'll immediately go and buy a bigger, flatter, thinner TV, or they'll go for another smarter gadget. They'll buy another iPad, or they'll just go and indulge and call their friends, and drinks are on me for everyone. And why? Okay. And the tab will be so much, and pata chala they are again doing washing the utensils. Okay. So this is how it is, where the long term orientation people are into social obligations, protecting one's space, and they're very very careful. And these are again Indians, and that is why we were able to survive this whole 2008 debacle world over. Okay, the crash that happened in the US, and so many companies closed down over there. It was at that time that only a couple of countries in our country faced the problem, but we were there to support each other. Okay, that collectivism, that culture. Okay, individual versus collectivism. So this is how. And China as a country, Japan as a country, even more long term oriented than we are. We are getting stuck in what the US people and the Africans, South Africans, and even people who are West Africans, very short term oriented. Okay, in South Africa, in Africa itself, the South, the Central, and there are those demarcations. So the Western cultures are very different from the South African. And Sir had dealt with all of them, so he used to tell me about how it worked. And then the last, according to her Hofstede, is indulgence versus restraint. There are countries who are very indulgent. Eating out is like, a norm, and home food is not there. Okay. And whereas in Japan, they don't waste time cooking food at home. They just have a pantry, and every building has its own mess. And every day, the food that is made is according to whoever is looking after that building. Okay. And these people, they just pick up their food, and they don't waste time on these mundane aspects of cooking and bhunjo and all that. Okay, their food is such that it is very easily made, and they just move on with their life very fast. So some countries are very indulgent, very overindulgent. US being one of them, Australia being one of them, and Africans, of course, they are. Okay. Nowadays, we could say the Middle East people are also becoming indulgent, but inherently, they are not as indulgent. And our country is also less indulgent as opposed. Of course, now the generations are changing. I'm sure the statistics have also changed. But here are some of the statistics where you can see the power distance index is quite high, 77. Individualism is like, a little, okay, there we are more towards the 50, that is, we are less individualistic, we are more collective, but it is there. Now a little bit about what's it in for me is there in our country and has been there. That's why the Britishers and many others could come and take over our country. Then there is this masculinity aspect, which is little bordering, where we are a little more masculine. Okay, we are not as nurturing, and yet we are not that. We are very balanced as a country in most of these things, and we have a very high tolerance towards uncertainty. We are long term oriented, and we are kind of not as indulgent as many of the other countries. So this is the details of how Indians are. And let's kind of not go too much into some of this stuff. Let me show you this cute film, and while you are seeing it, you can take a break, or uh, you know
नहीं टिकी है, नहीं टिकी है दुनिया, टिकी जुगाड़ पे, दुनिया टिकी जुगाड़ पे। ऊपर नीचे सभी जुगाड़ू, भारी जुगाड़ू हैवी जुगाड़ल, तू भी झंडा गाड़ दे, तू भी झंडा गाड़ दे, झंडा गाड़ दे। डेडलाइन का डंडा प्यारे सबको फोड़ रहा है, नींद में भी हर बंदा किसी रेस में दौड़ रहा है। सबको बचाना है तो फ्यूचर बनाना है तो, जहाँ वहाँ से जहाँ जहाँ से जो खुले उखाड़, कर ले जुगाड़, कर ले कोई जुगाड़, कर ले जुगाड़, कर ले कोई जुगाड़। अरे तुक्का मार कोई या कोई तीर मार, कर ले जुगाड़, कर ले कोई जुगाड़, कर ले जुगाड़, कर ले कोई जुगाड़, कर ले जुगाड़, कर ले कोई जुगाड़।
Okay, sometimes when I feel depressed, I just watch this and I feel so thrilled. And I look at the conveniences that I have, and I just, so guys, are you still here with me? Okay, Anshu has at least responded a bit. Okay, so thank you so much. So this is where the word adjustment, कोई बात नहीं जी, हम adjust कर लेंगे. So you have a lot of adjustment happening, and I have been one of those people who's been on the receiving end also, where when we were traveling from Allahabad to Pundi, which was like a 48 hours journey. Literally, it was a 48 hours we were on the train, full uniform in NCC, with the shoes, with the whole, I mean, we just had to travel in our uniforms. We were not allowed to travel in our even in our salwar suit, the white salwar suit. No, 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 we had to travel in full uniform, no chappal, no nothing. And I had my figure of 8 also, and I had my cap also, which of course the cap, we had to take it out and keep it, and we had to be very careful not to lose the cap. And as soon as we had to come on the station, we had to again put on our cap. We had to, be very, very careful of all that. And there was adjustment that happened. Nothing is impossible. And we are so much into all this. So this is us, and this is, USA. Can you see that the power distance is very low, where they call each other by their first names? The individualism is at 91%, where it's all about what's it in for me, what's it in for my company, what is it in for, again, me. They are not into that we culture at all. We need to just invert the M into W, and okay, it'll become a we. Then they are highly masculine, very assertive, very driven. And I have personally worked with the US clients, and I've actually coached them also. And I've been able to understand their culture just because this was, stuffed into my system by Suresh sir from a very long time, because he was very much into it. And we actually even have our associations with Dr. Von Trumpener's company also. Okay. So uncertainty avoidance is in US now, they've got so used to working with us that they can still take it. Okay. Whereas many of the Japanese people, they really can't take all that. And Germans, no way. Their uncertainty avoidance score, their threshold is like, and quite high. And then long term orientation, you can clearly see they're not long term, they're very short term oriented and very over indulgent in their whole. So this is a comparison between India and US. Okay. And this is a comparison between India and UK. This is the Big Ben, the clock in London, okay, in Westminster Abbey. This is like really beautiful, and I've actually been here, so I love London. I love Paris also. I've never been to the US. I've not been to the Middle East. Okay. So, and I've been to Africa also. Amazing, isn't it? How life was like and how life is. So, this is the score. And these are some of the listening habits. This is what China is. Okay. Quickly, let's have a look. Long term orientation. Look at China, 87%. They even have graveyards. I mean, they have got such a large population. They're a huge country. Yes, I understand. but so much of their country is just covered with hills and with I mean, the way it is, and yet they are so long term oriented. They look at the power distance index even more than us. Okay, their individualism is less. They're a very, very collective society, and see, they're very assertive. Look at the way they are taking the country by storm. Okay, so what is this? This is 40, and I don't know why this fellow is not gone up. Little mistake over here. So uncertainty avoidance, you know, they can do jugaad even more than we can. You go over there, you want to start a business, you give them money, but overnight the village will be gone. Not like our, what happened in West Bengal with Tata Nano. No way. There will be no cases that will be left pending and all that. They are very, very focused about growth, and look at the way they are going about it, in spite of being still a communist country. Okay. And now this is France. Look at them. Oh God, I like the picture actually. This picture is looking very nice. Okay, power distance index is little low, not very high. Okay, and yet their individualism is very high. Their uncertainty avoidance is very high. They can't take it. Okay, and they are also not very long term oriented, and they are also quite indulgent. Okay, but not as much as the US people. Uncertainty avoidance, I mean, they're very organized. I have worked for two French companies. Okay, AXA Business Services, which is originally French, and also with Focaccia. Focaccia is not Focaccia, Foracia. So Focaccia is a bread. Foracia, okay? And just, I mean, they were very happy with us. And when they saw the way we understood them and the way we talked about them, they were very thrilled. And there was a lot of details about it which I have just omitted. This is Germany. Okay. I mean, look at the scores in Germany. They're so different from Indians. Let's compare them with Indians again. And you can clearly see that even they are not too much into the formality part of it. The power distance index is a little low, but the individualism is high. They are quite masculine as opposed to us, and very assertive. They really want the work to be done. Uncertainty avoidance is quite high, and long term orientation is not as much as ours is. And they're also relatively, kind of indulgent. But do you see that they are one of the most balanced societies, in my opinion? Okay. So these people are very fair, very honest, very law abiding, very, private people. And they're very faithful, they're very intense people. I have a couple of my friends, very close friends, who are living in Germany since many years now. One of them has not adjusted at all. She's always looking for a time, a moment to come back to Allahabad, and she's still in that local, like, are bhaiya, and that kind of an attitude. And I call her Didi. She's only 1 year older, but that family, uh, Shuchi calls her sister Didi, so I have to also call them all Didi. And my sister, who was academically 3 years older and otherwise year-wise 2.5 years older than me, I used to call her Umita Umita, and I used to call even the other Didis and all that. I used to call them Tutu Chiku. Now, after I've learned all this and after I've seen the other people, oh my God, I call them all Didi. Now I can't even call them by their names like that. I call them Di, I call them Didi. And my sister is very surprised. What's wrong with Romy? You know, पहले तो जब छोटी थी, she was like, because the power distance index was somehow a lot low in our society. But we were very, very particular about the aunties and the uncles and then there was this mama mommy culture and all that. So these people, the Germans, I can tell you about Pranav Bihari, my favorite student. He is so adjusted over there. He even went away from there and he went and settled in London. He went to UK, but within a few months he got tired and he came back here. Okay, and fat, like, his kids also, everything, like, they even look like foreigner kids because he married a girl who was very interested in the Indian culture, and she's a German, okay, but she has changed her name to Kalyani. Yeah, I remember her name very well because I live in Kalyani Nagar. So her name is Kalyani. When I heard that, I was like, oh my God. And this boy was very clear. Um, okay, I'm not going to talk about it. So the basic thing is like, okay, let me tell you. He was one of the first few people. He was one of my first, I mean, my best student, He was one of the first few people who was like, ma'am, just wait for me. Let me start earning. Then I will be able to, propose to you. And please marry me because I'm not going to be able to. I was like, oh my God. So this guy was, okay, he was one of the first proposals that I did get. And I keep forgetting it because I didn't get a proper proposal from the man that I wanted to marry. And on the last day, also, we were talking about that only. Okay. So basically, I love Germans and I'm like, okay, Australians, can you see this? Completely individualistic. Can you see that? And power distance index is low, highly, indulgent, just like the US, quite masculine, and uncertainty avoidance is okay. Their tolerance for uncertainty is more. Okay, so this is something which I did not remember, and wow, this screen just gives me an insight also. And this is Japan. Uncertainty avoidance is so high. You cannot surprise them. And look at them, so assertive. Can you see that long term orientation also? And they are indulgent, more indulgent than we are, but lot less indulgent than the Western countries. And they are, where individualism is concerned, they are also very highly collective society, highly collective. For some reason, I find these people beautiful. And I know of so many friends of mine and family, who was settled in Japan, and they're so well adjusted and they don't want to leave Japan and go anywhere. One family has just got transferred from Japan to US and they're already crying because they were there for more than 12 years. They're so used to Japan. Okay. So this is how they are, very courteous, smiling listeners who never interrupt. And okay, this shows solidarity. So now take a break. I'm going to show you this film. It will continue. I put it on a continuous thing, and it's for 6 minutes. So I'll
At
come
an
back.
airline office in Copenhagen. We take your bags and send them all directions.
In a Bangkok temple, it is forbidden to enter a woman, even a foreigner, if dressed like a man.
In a Tokyo hotel, rules and regulation. Guests are requested not to smoke or do other disgusting behavior in bed.
In a cemetery, persons are prohibited from picking any flowers except from their own grave.
In Air Pakistan Hotel, please leave your values at the front desk.
In a Swiss Mountain Inn, special today, no ice cream.
In a doctor's office in Rome, specialist in women and other diseases.
Hotel Yugoslavia, the flattening of underwear with pleasure is the job of the chambermaid.
At the cocktail lands in Norway, ladies are requested not to have children in the bar.
On a box of a clockwork toy made in Hong Kong, guaranteed to work its useful life.
At the laundry in Bangkok. Drop your trousers here for the best results.
Somewhere in Germany, it is strictly forbidden on our Black Forest camping site for people of different sexes, for instance, men and women, to live together in the same tent unless they are married to each other for this purpose.
On the road to Mombasa, take notice. When this sign is underwater, this road is impassable.
Hotel Japan, you are invited to take advantage of the chambermaid.
In a Nairobi restaurant, customers who find our waitress rude ought to see the manager.
At the laundry in Rome. Ladies, leave your clothes here and spend the afternoon having a good time.
In the menu of a Swiss restaurant, our wine give you nothing to hope for.
In the lobby of a motel in Russia, next to a Russian Orthodox cemetery, you are welcome to visit the cemetery where famous Soviet and Russian writers, composers and artists are being buried every day, except Thursday.
On an automatic hand dryer in a restroom, do not operate with wet hands.
In a city restaurant, open 7 days a week and weekends.
In a hotel in Zurich, because of the impropriety of entertaining people of the opposite sex in your room, it is suggested that the lobby be used for this purpose.
An advertisement for donkey rides in Thailand. Would you like to ride on your own ass?
My God, this is a restaurant and you are the waitress and I am the customer and I need a fork on the table now. Clear, get it.
You want it now.
No, we can wait until the food gets colder. Eh? What do you reckon?
On the table?
If you don't mind, I would prefer that than having to follow you around just to get my fork. Just sit it, all right? I won't see why you would be dancing with a sheep. For God's sake, you come down the last show, I don't know. It's a bloody song, just sing.
This waltzing Matilda is an Australian thing.
Do it? It's a bloody song, it's an Australian song, we're singing it, bloody
Okay, so I hope you're back. Can we continue? So where is this happening? Anyone? Yeah, probably it's cute, na? I mean, this one also, this picture. Good, good. Thank you, Anshu. Thank you, Vedai. Thank you for your response. And let's continue. And it's just very interesting now. From now, we are going to be looking at Richard Lewis and the way they use their time. So we're going to do it a little fast so that it gets over in half an hour. And there's still a lot more to go. Okay, so this is obviously, where is this? You can just recognize this structure, so beautiful it is. And my nephew has been on it and sent us photographs of it. It's so amazing, isn't it? So this is only in China. And look at this. Where do you think this is? 16 wives, 700, 16 wives, 700, 7 hungry dogs, 3 thin cats, 25 kids, and still horny. Please help with loose change. Okay, drunken people crossing. Can you beat it? That there is a basically a traffic signal. This is, people were drunk. This is where you can cross and you can go from here. And any guesses where this is? Obviously, again, China. Okay, and Franz Trampanus, he had his own whole thing about universalism versus pluralism, individualism versus communitarianism, specified versus diffused, affective versus neutrality, inner versus outer, achieved versus ascribed, and sequential versus synchronic time. 7D model. Okay, but then I just skipped it all, and I've just come to the last part of what he said, that what is important is that you recognize what is happening around you, increase your awareness, you respect and appreciate the cultural differences, you reconcile with what is happening, you dissolve the cultural differences, you realize it, and then root yourself. Okay, we're not asking you to uproot yourself from your own culture, but then root yourself over there. Okay, implement the reconciling actions, and that is what is needed. That is how you will be able to accommodate each other by reconciliation, and you will fuse and you will blend, and you'll realize that the other has something to provide, and you complement each other, and you coexist in such a way that you know each other's strengths and weaknesses, you learn from the other, you just get adjusted to it, and you know your ways of going across, the whole thing. And this whole thing can be used even where your own personal values and your personal uh, barriers and everything is concerned, your personal patterns in life. Okay, so whatever it is, get used to listening, look at how other people listen, and understand their concept of space. Not everyone likes to be hugged. Okay, now the Middle Eastern people are so much into hugging, oh my, and the Africans are, you're my brother, you're my brother, and say the same thing to a Japanese guy or an American. They say, you're not my brother. My own brother is not my brother. I don't care. And in Africa there's this statement, that he's my brother from another mother. Okay, so he's my she's my sister from another father. Okay, and they could be from, we when my sister and I went there, we were very young, and we had to actually, when we had spoken, we don't look like each other. So they were very clear, you all are sisters from another mother, another father. So we said, no, we are sisters from the same mother and same father. This is not possible. Okay, I'll show you photographs of my sister, and you'll see that she just doesn't look, she doesn't, there's nothing common between us. Even now, at this moment, there's nothing common between us. There was a time where reading was common between us, where Enid Blyton books were common between us, where so much was like, even music and things were common between us. Right now, I can't take her music, and she doesn't like whatever I do. I don't know why. And now I started looking like my mother, and she doesn't look like any of her parents. I definitely still look like my father also. So and I was the one who was convinced that I don't belong to my parents and she does, because she used to look like both, like my mother a lot, and very pretty according to everyone. So the concept of space and time we've got to understand. And now let's look at this model. And this too is, but I really love Herthoff's model. Okay. And yet this is the second model of cross culture diversity that I really liked. And um, I'll share my experiences. I can't help it. I just feel that this is so. These are basically Richard Lewis's model, and Suresh Sir's huge book. Okay, it's not here. It's where have I kept it? Ah, okay, so it's a huge, thick book he got, and he marked tables out from there and all that. So this is like really a lot of material. So he said that people are basically three types. There are people who are linear active. Some people, linear active means they'll do one thing at a time, one after the other. They're sequential. Okay. And they are kind of monochromatic in terms of, and they're not poly types, like they're not the types who would like to do too many things at the same time. So then there are cultures, and there are people who are very multi-active, and then there are people and cultures who are very reactive. Okay, so the linear active people are very cold, factual, decisive planners, and the multi-active people are very warm, emotional, loquacious, and impulses. Loquacious means those who are verbal, they talk a lot. Loquacious, they'll keep doing. Okay, and then the reactive, these people are very silent. Okay, they're very courteous, very amiable. Amiable means that they're very, the Ramyata type, my name type, the ones who just blend in, and they're very sweet, and they're very humble, and they're very accommodating, and they're very compromises. Whereas linear active could be, the very assertive type also. And they, you find now, that linear active people are like, they're very, very logical, very sequential. They're very much into institutionalization. They don't believe in this individual thing, but they are individually oriented, where um, where they're very, okay, let me just say that they stick by the rules, they go by the regulations, they just, they're very particular about the timing, and they give you attention, they pay attention to you, they play hard, they work hard, they even rest also hard, they indulge themselves also, but they have compartments, they've got slots, they have what, yesteryears in Ramayana, they have a special room for, like Kekai had a Kop Bhavan. So she had a room where she would dress up in black clothes and, black makeup, and she'll be, telling Dasharath ji that I am angry. Yeah. Okay. So these people have got compartmentalized spaces. These people do not like to intermingle and get into sangam. Okay, Triveni Sangam, no way. They keep all the rivers also separate. Okay, they say no mixing. Okay, they don't like to mix food, they don't like to mix things. They're very linear active people. Whereas the multi-active people, they'll do 10 things at the same time. They're super intelligent people, I could call them that way, because that is what I used to be at one time. And now, after coming across Resh sir, who was a very linear active person, I became a very linear active person. And you'd be so shocked and surprised that this guy who was so linear had become a multi-active guy. And I just like, what are you doing? Can you please pay attention? And he's like, but this is what you used to do. I said, now I can't do it anymore. No. I could listen to the news, I could cook, I could, talk to him, I could even make my reports, I could even, watch something else and or read the newspaper also, and be able to be there in 10 different places. Like the kirana wala, he'll be looking at two customers, three customers at the same time. They may be having their own tabs also, he'll not make a mistake because that's the kind of awareness, because they're very multi-active people. But those people who are linear active, they cannot tolerate people who are doing multi-active work. And the multi-active people, they don't understand why these linear active people waste their time. And they don't understand the need for the sequence, the organization, and everything. Okay. And the multi-active people are also very good with talking. They just yap so much. Okay. I know everything about Ramesh Bhai's family. Okay. I know where they live and everything. And yet I I barely know his name also. Okay. I don't know his surname, and it's for sure some Marwari name which I know, but oh my God. Okay, the bottom line is, okay, these people keep on interrupting. These people are very people oriented. They're very flexible. Okay, they can do, they can get into white lie. मतलब उनके लिए झूठ बोलना is just like, by the way. So unnecessarily they'll just say झूठ, which is not even required. They're slightly late and they'll say traffic mein phas gaye. Arey, take responsibility, but they basically have a lot of excuses about everything. And they have a strong, ego where they need to defend it and they need to display their feelings also. So really, they're like generally cute set of people, very emotional. And now let's look at the reactive people. Okay. So these people are very different, and it took me a long time to understand them. For some reason, I used to sit through the classes when sir used to talk about reactive people, and I noticed that even he didn't pay too much attention to reactive people. He used to skip them most of the time. So these are people from China, from Vietnam, from Japan, Japanese culture, very reactive, Chinese, okay, Hong Kong, because sir was working in a Hong Kong based company, so he knew them very well. And yet he wouldn't talk much about them. So one day I sat with him and I told him, I said, leave everything, just tell me who are reactive people. And that's when I understood. Most important thing about these reactive people are that they will never look you in the eye. There is no such thing as eye contact. So the whole concept of what I taught you in body language and eye contact will not work in these Far East countries. Not at all. You do not look at people in the eye. You do not touch their head. You do not touch this part of their head and bless them the way we Indians are used to doing. No way. You cannot be harsh with your language. You cannot be abusive. You don't talk too much. They listen more. Okay, they'll never confront you. If you're retreating, if you have not even apologized, but if you're defending your ego, they will let you save their face, their ego. And saving their face is very important. They do not hurt other people's ego at all. They do not interrupt. If you're talking about your family, they will listen patiently. They will be very sweet in veering you towards coming back to work. Okay, they are very diplomatic, very diplomatic. They will not talk there. The way they hide their truth is different. Okay, they will never put down their family or their community or their country. They will keep their feelings bottled, but they will be very good listeners. They will be very good therapists who will listen to you. And when they speak, they're so polite and they go around the bush. They will never hit you on your mark. Okay? Are you getting it? And very people oriented, very long term oriented, very collectivistic type, like they care for, but they are very masculine also. They are very assertive. They will get their work done. Okay. So these are the reactive culture. So the linear cultures are North America, West, and North Europe. Okay. and South Africa, very linear again, Australia and New Zealand. Okay, multi-linear cultures are Southern and Eastern Europe, Africa, some of Asia, Central and South America, and this thing. And reactive cultures are also, as I told you, some of Asia. So here are basically, the countries. And do you notice that India is in the middle of being reactive and multi-active? Okay. So some people in India are very, very reactive and some are multi-active. Do you notice that they are not, so linear active? They're very multi-active and very reactive. And the US, the Germany, Switzerland, very linear active. UK people, the Swedish, the Netherlands, the Norway, the Finnish people, okay, and Canada is between linear active and reactive. So there's a lot of difference between the Canadian culture as opposed to the US culture. Okay, US is still slightly on the zone where they're very linear active, but more on the multi-active type also. Belgium is again between linear active and multi-active. Italy, Spain, Mexico, Brazil, Chile, they are all very multi-active culture. Sub-Saharan Africa, the whole of North Africa, okay, they're very, very multi-active. Russia also. That's why Indians are okay with Russians. Their culture, differences are not too much. And you notice that a lot of Indians are very, very comfortable in Indonesia. A lot of my family is there, and they're very comfortable in Turkey. They're very comfortable even in Dubai. See, Saudi Arabia and Arab countries and Indian countries, we really get along very well. We get along extremely well with Pakistanis. It is just the political aspect. We are one country actually. Pakistan and India, Bangladesh, we are all, Nepal, we are all one country. But they have just been demarcated because of political agendas and all that. Otherwise, basically, we are the same culture. It's very similar. Okay, Pakistan, if you notice, is not even mentioned here. Probably the research has not been done in Pakistan. That's why it's not mentioned here. But can you see Korea, Thailand, China, Vietnam, Japan, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Singapore? They are very, very. When you go to Singapore, you feel as if you've come into an American culture, but the thing is that it's not so much linear active, they are more towards the reactive, yet they're just so beautiful. Those people, when you work with them, they are very good. I've just recently worked in a Singaporean company. I consulted with them also, and Malaysia is not mentioned over here, but they also fall into this culture. Okay, here more here. Okay, but there are a lot of Tamilians who are there in Malaysia, and the ones which we dealt with also were actually from more than 5 generations or something, and they were Tamil. They didn't know even a word of Hindi. Seriously, they just knew ha, na, and that kind. Okay, they just didn't know Hindi at all. So I could not break out in Hindi and talk about Hindi songs and all that. But sir could talk in Tamil. So sir could break out in Tamil with them, and he was very concerned about the rest of us who could not understand Tamil. But my mother-in-law got along very well with them, and both of them were very happy. Like anyway, the whole thing is that this is some more. These people who are between multi-active and reactive, they are people-oriented, relationship-seeking types, and those between linear active and multi-reactive are broad-minded, cosmopolitan types, and those between linear active and reactive are the strong, silent, quiet, introverted, patient, methodical. Okay, whereas the reactive and the multi-active people are the ones who would pull strings, who would have uncles in the proper place. They would seek favors. They would look for favors. They are very hierarchy driven. They are very dense and very, power index is very, very large. Okay, where they don't like to talk to people in on their first names. Whereas these, I mean, here they're talking more about the hybrid people. Okay, so the in between types. Okay, and yet again there's some more. So these are the basic jobs. Okay. The psychotherapists are again very reactive types. The doctors, the lawyers, very reactive. And the actors can be very multi-active. The linear active are the research scientists, the manufacturing people, the engineers, the surgeons. Okay. Now, certain professions like excise duty, security, police, please do not use humor on them. Okay. Now we are going to be getting into that too. So this is what these people are all about. And empathy, we've already spoken enough. So please get into being empathy and, have a positive attitude, diffuse the. Okay, now look at this, so cute now, only in Indonesia. This is happening in Indonesia where they're also like us jugadus, huh? And so many poor people. And where is this? Where do you think this is? With the hat and everything, I can tell this is in Mexico. Okay. And where do you think this is? Come on, girls. Girls, respond.
India.
Funny, isn't it? And obviously, thank you so much. Obviously, and this seems more like barring this big bindi and the big thing and all that. This is also my mother. Okay, she used to keep telling me when I used to get good marks, I used to do good in yeah. Thank you, Anshu, for that Indian flag also. So cute, isn't it? My mother used to keep, and I love the dimples in these ladies. One of the reasons why I put her picture here and I'm giving so much emphasis is because she is so much other than the look of the desi, Punjabi style and that kala and all that. This is my mother. Okay. I would get good marks. I would get a new job and I would, kind of do very well in friendship, or I would do very well in elocution debates and all that in school. And you know what my mother used to say? This is not going to help. Okay. You have to get your rotis correct. And I swear to God, I proved it to her in my entire community, not just Khandan. I'm the best where rotis, parathas come even now. My building girls, these women, these pretty girls with two children, still, kind of rootling around with other men also, even after having their own children and getting into swinging parties and all that. I think so, because the way they wear their clothes and the way they reveal themselves, and I'm like, oh wow, I don't think I need to go to any hotel looking for any slut. I have you right here. So what is your payment? And they're like, auntie, what are you saying? And I'm like, come, let me hug you, let me get a feel of you for free. And they're like, auntie, what are you saying? And I know how to talk and know that I'm not insulting them. And in my own way, I am actually. I'm sorry. These girls, when I sent out and I messaged, anyone having trouble, I'm making chapatis, I'm making rotis. So if anyone is not, doesn't feel like, and the reaction was, you can do that too. I said, yeah, I'm good at everything. You want to learn about sex also? Come over. Okay. I'll give you books and I will tell you. Why do you think I'm crying? Because my husband is gone, not because of the lack of sex or anything of the sort. It's because we were done in the first 3 months, and then after that, we were living like brother sister. Because it was done, linear active, finish it off. Okay, let's go get on with other things. Most important thing was working together. We worked together. We loved each other, and it was like after I got Suresh sir, I did not care. The other Ajay Bhaiya, the Alok Bhaiya, and all of them, they were history for me. I stopped talking to all of these people, Shivaji sir and the whole works, They were like, why? I said, I found my own. आप लोग अपने घर में खुश रहो. Not interested, because this is what. And my mom, she was just getting so angry with me that whatever I challenged this girl, You know, Sindhis make samosas from that patti ka, that samosa. I was so young. And my grandmother used to use me every time patti ka samosa, even till my grandmother was alive and the samosas were made. Once my grandmother passed away, my mother did not make samosas at all. She would just call me, tum bana ke bhej do. Daddy wants to eat. And I would like, okay, fine. And here also, I had to do it because my maids were not good with getting that roti in the proper way. And they saw how I did it. And they used to be so fascinated. One look at my face, they feel as if I'm lazy because I do not cook anymore. Maid is not coming to cook. Someone is not take out, take away. Okay, when my husband was there, he did not like outside food so much. My father did not like it when he was here in the lockdown with me when Suresh sir was not there. And I had to cook for them. Okay, but in general, now I don't go to the kitchen. It's my son who does everything. Yeah, I don't even make popcorn. I don't even make Maggie. Okay. The only thing I do is just switch on my kettle and pour tea for myself here and there if I need it. I don't even make my own coffee because or chai with milk because that means I take the milk out, you know, I have to heat it. Ugh. I would just, if I have to, I would heat it in the microwave. My kitchen, I'll just show it to you, you know, from my mobile, has got that dhakkan on it. I would rather pay someone else to do it, but I am a mother like this. Okay. Yeah. Even if she's gone away, you know, to another dimension, this is my mother. Okay. So I'm so sorry, guys. And oh my God. When do you think this happens? Of course, Afghanistan. Okay, now it has become Taliban. What is happening? Okay, so and look at this. This is happening only not in Pisa, you know, Leaning Tower of Pisa, but this is Egypt. The entire building is Tela Mera, and look at them, cat ke bharose. They are not Ram bharose, they're cat ke bharose because in Egypt they really worship the cats. They really kind of, you know, feel that cats is it. It is. And look at Amchi Mumbai. This is a literal picture. Huh? Look at this. I've actually seen this happening. This is near Kurla and you know, near Dadar and Kurla and all that. This is terrible. Okay, so this communicating across cultures. Now let's see body language. You've already done, and some bit of cultural things, signals of cross cultural signals. I just ignored it, guys. So I'm going to ignore it today. Also, we've got only 5 minutes left. I'll just quickly tell you that there are two types of culture oriented people. Some who are data oriented cultures, okay, where they get the information from reading, from TV, radio, colleagues, friends, family, databases, reports, and project notes. Whereas some are dialogue oriented cultures. These people, can you see where they get their data from? Can you see from where they're getting their information? So many sources. They get it from school friends, from cafe gossip, from university peers. They've got a godfather, friends and family, old teachers. Again, family, okay, work colleagues, tennis and golf, relatives. What? What? Do you see? There are no reports. There is no proper data from where they get the information from. So this is how some data driven people, Indians are again data dialogue driven people. They've got these, you know, panchayat ke log, they sit in the evening, hukka karte hain, okay, and they will be talking about to phir kya chal raha hai, and they will be so super connected to the world. And then what they speak about, what they think of politics, what they think Modi ji should be doing. Okay, now these are some of the communication patterns, and quickly just go through it. I'm going to skip it a little bit because there's just, you know, the whole thing is that they're like long, you know, when Indians meet, you go for any program in based out of India, there'll be first आओ जी breakfast खाओ जी, okay, have your tea, have breakfast, have kaisa chal raha hai. There's a lot of socialization that happens even in these places like what is that BMW or what BTG or BTV or something, you know, which is into business and all that, very structured. but they have a long social thing, and in the end also again they have this social thing. Khana, eat, and they will be skinny fellows also because of their type. They would be the, the vata type, completely, or the pitta type, but they'll not be the kapha type who are like indulgent. There's those type also there. So there'll be a long all that asking the other people's opinion. There'll be a break, and then there'll be favorable, flexible reactions, and then some modification, and in the end, agreement is usually reached, not pakka. Okay, there could be something, and whereas you look at the American patterns, at the end of it, there is clarity. They fight in between. Okay, they are loud, they are assertive, they are masculine. Okay? A fight is a communication. They just want to get the things done as soon as possible. They give enough time to each other, but they don't. They give quality time, and they finish the whole thing. They complete it, and they are out. Okay, French people at the end of it, clarity. They don't even fight so much. They are also kind of very very decent people. They are verbose. They are like that, but they use their power of imagination. They're very creative people. They're also more masculine than even sorry, they're more feminine than any country. Very, they're not assertive, but they're very very creative also, and they basically are very focused, but they are focused. Okay, and then Germans, oh my god, look at them. They are absolutely, the only thing that you can clearly see is that there is some amount of resistance that comes when the proposal is absolutely frank. Okay, they offer, they absorb the counter argument, they offer the new counter proposals. They're cautious but firm, and the truth is the truth. They are very very focused. They are very balanced, in my opinion. Okay, very balanced, and they're full of life. They're full of energy. Suresh sir did not even know the German language, but he worked on major projects in the heart of Germany, government projects. He had interpreters with him, he had people around him. And there were times when he was left alone for months together, where he had to fend for, he had his own German to English dictionary and English to German dictionary, and he was very good with it. Okay. So when he had to talk about Germany, German culture, oh my God, this guy was, they loved him. The Germans just loved him. They liked his professional attitude. Okay, so UK people have a very strong sense of humor. Australians are very matey and very friendly type. They'll keep calling everyone, "Hey mate, mate." When Sir was to do that, I used to get very irritated with. I used to tell him, "Look, I'm your mate. No one else is your mate." Okay, how dare you call that Sanjay mate also? Then you called this one mate. What is this? You're mating with everyone. I don't like it. No. Okay, so he was like, okay, fine. He was so careful. Otherwise, everyone, these Australians are like so verbose and they're so friendly. Remember how Australia was made? Desh Nikala. That was a Kala Pani. Okay. So Andaman Nicobar, what Andaman Nicobar is, and that Pearl Harbor or whatever, not Pearl Harbor, whatever there's some. What's that city? My cousin went there for a honeymoon. I was like, are you nuts? This is where my grandfather was put for Kalapani for 3 months. Yeah, in 1946, he was in Calcutta. So, and he was released. After 3 months, he was released. One day, they were very mean with them and, put them in the black thing and dungeons and all that, and beating them up and all that. But the rest of the time, 3 months, they were asked to move around and they were given food and all that. And it was, that is my paternal. My maternal grandfather for 1.5 years was locked in the prison in Karachi in 47, the whole of 47. It was in around December of 48 that he came back to Pune. And when he came, nobody could recognize him, and they were like, everyone thought that he had been killed, or everything was over. So these are the things. Okay, so where is can you just see how beautifully this whole thing has been done? You can take a screenshot of it for understanding them a little more. Okay, and USA people are very hard to sell. Okay, and their attention span is barely 30 minutes. Okay, UK is 30 to 45 minutes. But look at the attention span of the Japanese and Indians nowadays. The kids, oh my God, not even 45 seconds attention span. So, how do the use of time? There's a video to it, but let's just skip it. Okay, so basically this is how the linear people work. There are like, past is over, today it is ABCDEF, plans are there, in January, and then you worry about your this is the Western linear type where A, B, C, D, and 9 a.m. they start the work, 5 p.m. they're back. There's balance and everything. Whereas the Oriental, the Indians, the others, they start with A, they may start with A, but they will jump to F, they'll go to D, and somewhere they'll take a break, and then they'll think about G. And then when you feel that, okay, the A is over, no. After 2 months, they'll go back to A. They'll go back to F, and they've not yet finished with D. Okay, remember Mr. Patel, how he did it? Whereas the linear active people, minimum small talk, there are bullet points for discussion, agenda is fixed. Okay, they look at the first task, they finish it, they discuss about it, they come to solutions, over. They come to the second, finish it off, get the solution, over. They are completely segmented, very, very focused. Okay, they are very focused, they're very rational, there's a lot of discipline, they're action takers, implementations. Whereas look at this multi-active culture, they go round and round, extensive small talk, lot of socialization. Okay, there's some okay, and then there is like, discussions, issues, a lot of that happens. Okay, then they just discuss, and you may think that they have come to conclusions, but no, they are reflecting, they are lateral, they are hierarchical, they are like, oh my God, there's so much to it. So this is how it is. In Germany, there is very little time for socialization, formal introductions, sit down, begin, that's it, where the meetings are handled. In France, yes, they are overindulgent, they talk about politics, they talk about all that. India, look at this. Okay, UK, USA, just see this. So this is how it is. Before the meetings, all this black sign is about how the meetings begin. Okay, so these are USA's listening habits, listens in snatches. They'll be so distracted. They just want to, kind of get on with a deal. Okay, and this is about France. About Germany. There was a lot about other countries also. Once we did 17 countries, and that was for Tata Motors. 17 countries. Okay. So these are again linear active, multi-active, and reactive people. There was a case discussion that was discussed. I mean, it's going to be long. Eventually, what is required is for you to start tolerating, then become flexible, then become humble, understand about the justice and fairness, adjusting ability depending on the tempo, be curious, generate an interest, get the knowledge of the country, start liking others, command respect, and the ability to integrate yourself and make an impact with integrity, manners, personality, appearance, consideration, and tact. Okay, so this is a quick recap. And finally, this is my favorite, where I have actually written this: the success of a company can depend to a large extent on the ability of its staff to solve issues effectively, both in their day-to-day work and through innovation, diversity management. This applies not only to senior management, but people at all levels of the organization. So basically, be successful, be happy with yourself and the way people are, questions, and answers. So namaste, take care, Newton tag, bonjour, think big, dream big. My own way of do it with love, with a lot of you have already all got resources and you are very smart and okay. So have the whole dunya global, be global, okay? Puri dunya aapke paas rahe. Just God bless you. Have a nice day. And some of the learnings about this global cross cultural thing. Thank you for your participation. Anything else? So tell me, how was it, guys? I want a feedback on this because this is the first time I've done this program on my own. I've never ever facilitated this program on my own. The lead facilitator has been Suresh sir. He was the one who worked all over the world. There was only Afghanistan and Kazakhstan where he had not stepped and worked. Rest all the countries of the world he had gone. So thank you so much, Isha. Thank you for your. It was perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you for your response. Thank you for your feedback. Um, Thank you so much. Thank you, all of you for your comments that you liked it, and I also enjoyed myself. Okay, a lot. So see you tomorrow. Tomorrow is our last day. We are going to be talking about how to build your memory, your reading skills, and how to build your intelligence in ways which are unique. Okay, and how to enjoy your lectures, which I should have actually done on my first lecture. But thank you so much. God bless you. I'm so proud of you guys. Thank you, each one of you, for your feedback. Thank you, Purvi. Thank you, Mohammed. Thank you, Firin Nathani. I'm a little Bedehi Isha. Tell Kinjal I'm really missing her. Thank you, Soham. You're one of the first ones to join my session every morning. And Asha, thank you so much. Ishan again, Pine, Isha, Vedehi, Asha, Safa, thank you so much. Anshu, thank you for your participation. Vedehi again, Anshu again, Isha again, Asha, Vedehi, Isha, Safa, Anshu, Isha, Anshu, Vedehi. God bless you guys. These chats are getting saved every day, and I'm very grateful to you for your whole thing. And tomorrow will be the last day with each other. So God bless and let's have a good time. We'll meet you tomorrow, same time, same link. Okay. So thank you so much. Be global. Okay. Have high thinking and use local. Local products. That's what Swadeshi, Swadesh ka nara. Jai Hind. Bharat Mata ki Jai. Okay. Be proud of your country and yet have a global mindset. Cross culture diversity. So you can start taking off and